Hi everyone, welcome to Edubbey Global Solutions. On today's episode of IGCSE Biology, we'll be looking at inheritance. In sexual reproduction, a mixture of genes is passed from parents to offspring. There are certain rules that govern how genes will be passed on and which ones will show up in the offspring. Chromosomes carry genetic information as a series of genes. True or false? True. Inheritance of characteristics. Chromosomes carry genetic information as a series of genes, such as the gene for eye color, the gene for ear lobe and shape, the gene for hair texture. Each chromosome in the nucleus of a diploid organism has a partner that carries the same genes. Such a pair of chromosomes is called an homologous pair. One of the chromosomes in the homologous pair came from the mother and one came from the father. True or false? True. The homologous pair. Each chromosome in a pair may carry alternative forms of the same gene. The alternative forms are called alleles. For example, the gene for eye color has alleles that code for blue or brown. In both alternative alleles are present, if both alternative alleles are present in a particular cell nucleus, then the cell is heterozygous for that characteristic. If the nucleus carries the same allele on both members of the homologous pair, then the cell is homozygous. If a question says if both an alternative alleles are present in a particular cell nucleus, then the cell is homozygous for that characteristic. True or false? False. Because it's clearly stated that for alternative pairs to be present, then the cell is heterozygous. This image here is showing us a pair of a homologous pair, one from the father and one from the mother. One of the pairs in this homologous pair came from the mother, and the one came from the father. For a homozygous cell, only one alternative allele is present, but it appears twice. True or false? True. Heterozygous and homozygous alleles. The two chromosomes in a homologous pair can carry alternative alleles of the same gene. This cell is heterozygous for eye and color. This particular chromosomes, homologous pair, is heterozygous for eye color and ear shape, but homozygous for hair texture. We can see that in the colors, in the differences in colors for the eyes and the differences in shape for the ear, but similar characteristic for the hair texture. This means that both alternative alleles are present for the eye color and the ear shape, but the hair texture, only one alternative allele is present, although there are two copies. Genotype and phenotype. Two individuals which are homozygous for the same characteristics breed together. If they breed together, will give pure breeding. This means that the characteristics will always be passed on to the offspring. Genotype is the genetic makeup of an organism as a result of the alleles present in the homologous pair of the chromosomes involved, while phenotype is the observable feature of an organism as a result of the dominant gene. Beak shape in birds is controlled by genes passed from the parent bird to the offspring. What is this an example of? It's an example of inheritance. Dominant and recessive allele. The dominant allele is the one that shows up in the phenotype cells, and the recessive allele is the one that is hidden in the phenotype cells. An offspring may inherit two dominant alleles, one from each parent, that is homozygous dominant, or two recessive alleles, that is heterozygous dominant, one dominant and one recessive, that is heterozygous. Sickle cell anemia is a genetic disorder which results in severe illness in homozygous individuals. In some populations, being heterozygous may be beneficial. What could be the reason for this? The heterozygous individuals are more resistant to malaria. The diagram shows the inheritance of sex in humans. A man and a woman have one female child. What is the chance of the couple's next child being female? From this illustration, the probability of having a female child is 50%. Cross This image is showing us the cross between a homozygous brown-eyed man, represented by two capital B's, and a homozygous blue-eyed woman, represented by two small b's. So the outcome is of their offspring is the heterozygous B, where the brown eye is dominant. So this genotype would give a brown eye offspring, while the phenotype, that is the observable trait or feature seen, is brown with a recessive blue. This slide is showing us a cross between two heterozygous parents. Both are showing dominant traits for brown, but with a recessive trait for B. So, if any offspring showing the recessive characteristic results come from a test cross, then the parents must have been heterozygous. So, we can see that from their offspring, they are able to give an offspring with a homozygous brown trait, heterozygous brown, and then a pure breed of blue that is recessive but homozygous blue. In rabbits, the allele for dark 4 R is dominant to the allele for white 4 R. The diagram shows a cross between a rabbit with dark 4 and a rabbit with white 4. What are the genotypes of the parents? The likely genotype for to have given rise to this type of offspring would be a heterozygous brown and a homozygous white. Inheritance of sex-linked characters. The red-green color blindness disease is a disease in which the person cannot tell the difference between red and green. It is an X-linked condition. A failure in blood clotting condition, hemophilia, is a sex-linked condition. Any gene carried on the sex chromosome is sex-linked. This images here are showing us the rules for showing a family tree, or what we call a pedigree. This line links the father to the mother, this line here, and then this shows the offsprings from the same mother. And then we have a key to this describe the color differences. We have a normal female, affected female, normal male, and then the affected male. The pedigree diagram shows the inheritance of a genetic disease in a family. Yes, which row describes the correct genotypes of individual 1 and individual 5 for this genetic disease. We can see that this black color represents a female that has the disease, and then this key here shows that a male that has the disease, while the white color shows a female that does not have the disease, and the square here shows a male that does not have the disease. So we're to pick out which row describes the correct genotypes for individual 1 and individual 5. On the first line here, we have heterozygous and then homozygous dominant. Let's see. Okay, try. The correct answer for this is B. It is heterozygous for the individual one, and then homozygous recessive for individual five. Codominance. Some genes have more than two alleles. For example, the gene controlling the human ABO blood groups has three alleles. Neither of the AB alleles is dominant to the other, but they are both dominant to O. This is codominance. It results in an extra phenotype when both alleles are present together. An illustration is shown in this on this duck here. We have a blue duck and then a white duck, and we can see the observable trait of the two parent dogs on the offspring. In a species of pea plant, height is controlled by one gene. The allele for tall is dominant to the allele for short. A test cross is done to identify the genotype of a tall pea plant. The table shows the possible phenotypes of the offspring and a description of the genotypes of the tall parent pea plant. If a large number of offspring are produced, which rows are possible? All tall, homozygous dominant, tall and short, homozygous dominant. 2 and 4. With this, we come to another episode. We come to the end of another episode of our IGCSE Biology. Remember to check us out on www.edubbey.com for more materials and resources. Thank you.